Good evening, and welcome to the Interactive Grimoire. Tonight's question, what are the origins of the Yijing? The Yijing is the oldest divinatory system in continuous use, dating back some 3,100 years. This makes it older than the Greek Iliad and the Judeo-Christian Bible. The origins of the Yijing are inextricably bound up with the origins of the Chinese Zhao dynasty and its early rulers, namely Zhao Wenwang and his son, Zhao Gangdan. The Bagua, or 8 trigrams, go back much earlier than the Yijing and are attributed by legend to the culture hero Fu Si. The 8 Bagua trigrams were supposedly given to Fu Si, one of the 3 august sovereigns, to help set the world to order. They consisted of 8 symbols of 3 lines each of which personified an archetypal aspect of the interaction of yin and yang, the polarities of the universe. The 8 Bagua are Father Heaven, Mother Earth, Elder Brother Thunder, Elder Sister Wind, Middle Brother Water, Middle Sister Fire, Younger Brother Mountain, and Younger Sister Lake. The Bagua were used from the earliest times in China for philosophical and magical purposes, but it fell to Zhao Wenwang to organize the 8 Bagua trigrams into the 64 hexagrams of the Yijing. Zhao Wenwang, more commonly known as King Wen, is a pivotal figure in Chinese history politically as well as spiritually. King Wen was hereditary ruler of the Zhao people and a vassal of the Shang dynasty. It was King Wen who led the uprising that overthrew the Shang and established the Zhao dynasty. Zhao Wenwang lived at the close of the Shang dynasty around 1140 BC, though all Chinese dates of this era are the subject of considerable controversy. It is to be remembered that in the West this was roughly the time of the Ramessid pharaohs of Egypt and the Dorian invasions of Greece, where records are just as spotty and dates are also subject to intense debate. The Shang dynasty flourished from around 1600 to 1135 BC. The latter Shang are sometimes termed the Yin dynasty, after their final capital, and the surname affected by later generations of the family. The Shang dynasty followed the Xia dynasty, which is said to have flourished from around 2070 BC until 1600 BC, and which is identified with the Erlitou culture. Prior to this, Chinese history is entirely the subject of myth, featuring the 3 august sovereigns called Huang and the 5 emperors called Di. King Wen came into conflict with the final Shang ruler, Shang Dijin, also called Zhaojin. Shang Dijin was said to be a dissolute and tyrannical emperor, though whether this is the truth or simply legend created by the succeeding dynasty to discredit him, no one can say. Shang Dijin ordered King Wen imprisoned in the city of Yuli near modern Henan for 7 years. During this time, King Wen perfected his study of the Bagua, the 8 trigrams attributed to the legendary Emperor Fu Si. King Wen experimented with combinations of the Bagua trigrams in order to magnify the basic meanings of the trigrams. Ultimately, King Wen arranged the 8 trigrams into the maximum number of 2 trigram combinations possible, 64 hexagrams. Each of these hexagrams represented the effect of 1 trigram upon another. King Wen then used these 64 hexagrams for meditation on the cross effects of the basic principles of the Bagua, as well as for divination. This was the creation of the Yijing, or Book of Changes. The 64 hexagrams are held to address every possible situation, and it was his creation and mastery of this system to which King Wen's ultimate success was attributed. During the years King Wen was confined, his eldest son, Bo Yiku, traveled to the Shang court to beg for his father's release. Bo Yiku was received courteously and became a favorite of the royal concubine Daji. However, after Bo Yiku rebuffed Daji's amorous advances, she accused him of attempting to rape her and asked Shang Dijin to have the young man executed. Shang Dijin is said to have then had Bo Yiku butchered and cooked and served to his unsuspecting father as a meal. However, because of his skill with the Yijing, King Wen knew what had happened and swore revenge. Ultimately freed from prison, King Wen led a revolt against Shang Dijin. When King Wen died suddenly in 1135 BC, The war was carried on by his second son, Zhao Wuwang. When his own armies deserted him to fight with Wuwang, Shang Dijin set fire to his palace and committed suicide. Thus the Shang dynasty came to an end, and the Zhao dynasty began. Zhao Wuwang overthrew the Shang in 1035 BC, and formally established the Zhao dynasty in 1022 BC. He then ruled until his death in 1115 BC. Making its capital at Hao, modern Xi'an, the Zhao dynasty lasted longer than any other Chinese ruling dynasty, from 1122 until 256 BC. The surviving members of the Shang dynasty remained an important aristocratic house, taking the surname Yin. The story of the conflict between Shang Dijin and King Wen and his sons, and the change from the Shang to the Zhao dynasty, is the subject of the classic Chinese epic, the Fengshen Yanyi. King Wen was also the father of Zhao Gangdan, commonly called the Duke of Zhao. The Duke of Zhao is also a pivotal figure in Chinese political and religious history. After overthrowing the Shang dynasty in 1135 BC, Zhao Wuwang established the Zhao dynasty, formally proclaiming it as such in 1122 BC. His younger brother, the Duke of Zhao, was made feudal ruler of the state of Lu, and held important positions in Wu Wang's government. When Wu Wang died in 1115 BC, he was succeeded by his young son, Zhao Chenwang, with the Duke of Zhao as regent. Duke Zhao was a good regent for his nephew, and became famous for his skill and sagacity in this role. During his tenure as regent, Zhao had to put down rebellions against the young king, including one led by his own brothers. After Zhao Chenwang came of age, Duke Zhao stepped down as regent. Thereafter he devoted himself to writing, becoming even more famous as the author of several classic social and metaphysical texts. Duke Zhao wrote the first commentary for the Yijing, which his father King Wen had created. Duke Zhao wrote an extensive text for the Yijing, which included a commentary on every line of every hexagram, or a total of 384 commentaries altogether. This would form the basis of Yijing interpretation. Later, Confucius and other great scholars would write additional commentaries on the Yijing, expanding understanding of the Yijing divinatory system. Confucius once said of the Yijing that if he could live 50 more years, he would devote them to the study of the Yijing as a means of perfecting himself. Duke Zhao also wrote the Lijing, or Book of Rites, and the Yuejing, or Book of Music. The Lijing is a book of rituals and ceremonies, which also describes proper social forms and court behavior. The Lijing is one of the books Confucians consider the 5 classics. The 5 classics are the Yijing, or Book of Changes, the Shijing, or Book of Odes, the Lijing, or Book of Rites, the Shujing, or Book of History, and the Linjing, also called the Shunkyu, or Spring and Autumn Annals. The Yuejing is sometimes described as the 6th classic, and was once very important. However, it was lost long ago, and no copies are now known to exist. The Duke of Zhao was also responsible for one other idea of extreme importance to Chinese thought, the Mandate of Heaven. During his term as regent for Chen Wang, Duke Zhao undertook an aggressive propaganda campaign to help stabilize the position of the young ruler. This included the introduction of the concept of the Mandate of Heaven. That is the idea that leadership is bestowed by the gods upon those most worthy, and if those in positions of power become unworthy, the Mandate of Heaven will pass to other, more worthy people. This idea made it possible for Chinese dynasties to succeed one another without violating ideas of legitimacy and continuity. 5 centuries later, Duke Zhao's fiefdom of Lu would become the birthplace of Confucius, and the ideas of Duke Zhao and his family would be seminal to Confucian thought. The importance of Duke Zhao to Confucianism can perhaps be best illustrated by the famous quote of Confucius, "What have I come to? It has been months since I last dreamed of Duke Zhao." Today, dreaming of Duke Zhao is still a phrase used in Chinese culture to convey the struggle to lead a good life and to improve one's conditions. This has been the Interactive Grimoire. Thank you and have a good night.